you need to be sort of understanding the playbook that these guys are playing right now. You want to be thinking like the people that make money. Use this stock right now as a learning tool. Warren Buffett just dropped $1.6 billion into one stock. What does that mean? Something's going on that we need to be aware of as regular investors. Look, David Tepper, who's another big-time investor, just made this stock his biggest position in his portfolio. Michael Burry just bought a whole ton of shares and some call options on this stock. What is this stock? UnitedHealth Group, which is the parent company of UnitedHealthcare. Now, you may be asking yourself, why does this matter? So what? These big wigs just dropped all this money into UnitedHealthcare, UnitedHealth Group. Here's why this matters a whole lot. This company has really been through one of the ugliest year and a halves in its history as a company. So the question is, why are some of the smartest top investors in America, or in the world really, why are they dropping so much money into this one company? I want to break that down on this quick video. I want to break down what they know and what this means for us as a regular investor. So let me start by saying that in the latest 13F filing, which everybody that manages over $100 million in America has to file a quarterly report with the SEC, and their investments are shown and public knowledge on a Form 13F. Well, on the latest 13F, Berkshire Hathaway, the company owned by Warren Buffett, revealed its brand new position in UnitedHealth Group, right? They purchased 5 million shares for over $1.6 billion. Now, that is a huge swing for a Buffett-owned company to be purchasing shares of in a company that he's never owned before. Now, I mentioned earlier David Tepper. David Tepper, he bought 2.4 million or 2.45 million shares, which ends up equaling about 11 to 12% of his overall portfolio. This is another huge position by an asset manager into this one particular stock. It's gotta mean something, guys. Now, I want to be real with you. Here's the problems that UnitedHealth Group have faced over the last year and a half or so, since about January or February of last year. They had some type of cyber attack happen back in February of 2024, and it took down their payment management system for a couple of weeks. I don't know if you guys remember that in the news. I think I did a video about it back then, but that was huge, and it created a lot of chaos around this particular company. Some experts say that it affected the company by a tune of anywhere from $2 to $3 billion. And so it was ugly, right? But here's the kicker. When you have something like a cyber attack happen for a lot of really big companies, those are one-offs, right? So it looked bad in the news last year, but it was really kind of a one-off. And then you had the cost of medical care really go up and spike as well, right? So really UnitedHealth Group, they had mispriced some of its Medicare Advantage things that they had going on last year as well. So that led to some problems with them as well, and also some bad press. But again, temporary, not a permanent issue or big problem, but temporary. When you have these big companies like UnitedHealth Group and you have these temporary things that happen, but they look really bad in the press and really bad to the average person walking around who's listening to the news, but really behind closed doors, these are kind of small issues that just need a few little tweaks here and there. That's really good for the stock because it makes the stock ultimately become undervalued. People say, oh, United Healthcare, big issue. But then you peel back the layers and the company's doing just fine. It just looks bad in the public eye. And that's what happened to United Health Group in the last year and a half, right? In the last few months, United Health Group, their PE ratios have been at some of the lowest PE ratios they've seen in the last 10 years. Now listen, when you're trying to value a stock, you really want to oftentimes look at PE ratios. When a PE ratio is low, let's say under 15 or 14, especially when you have a really good solid company, that's when the company appears to be undervalued to some of the big time investors. So right now, if you look at United Health Group's PE ratio, it's still very low. It's sort of rebounded from being at a 10-year low, but it's still low. And in July, just last month, you had some experts who were out here saying that United Health Group is at a 40% discount in terms of its historical multiple. So in other words, let me break that down. In other words, what they're saying is this company is way undervalued right now. Remember, United Health Group is the largest healthcare company in America. So this is a massive company that has faced some issues as of recent, but they're all fixable issues. issues. And the stock has a low PE ratio. So what does that mean? That's the playbook for a Warren Buffett to go in and make a big play on this company and buy a whole bunch of shares because it's undervalued. And as regular investors, me and you, we have to be looking at the playbook of buying companies that are really, really good companies, but are undervalued right now. We got to be looking at that playbook because that's a winning playbook for the long haul, right? Buying really, really good companies when they're down, right? But what a lot of people do is this. Guys, if you're getting any value from this video, do me a favor, smash the like button, and most of all, share this video with someone who you know could use this valuable information. Also, please drop me a comment below and let me know your thoughts. Now, let's get back to the video, right? But what a lot of people do is this. They buy really, really good companies when they're up. But see, what Warren Buffett, Michael Burry, and David Tepper, some of the best in the business, they don't do that. They buy really, really good companies when they're down, like about right now with UnitedHealth Group. And why is that? Why do they do that? Here's why. The moat is still super duper strong for UnitedHealth Group. Now, when I say moat, I'm talking about the company's competitive advantage. UnitedHealth Group, being the largest healthcare company in America, still has a solid, strong moat, right? They basically run on 3 different arms. The first arm is United Healthcare, right? That's the health insurance for individuals, the health insurance for employers, and the health insurance for government programs, right? That is the healthcare arm of UnitedHealthcare Group. Still strong, still has a huge advantage over other smaller companies just because of what they offer in terms of healthcare. But also, they've got Optum Health. I think that's their clinics, right? Their health management services and their delivery service. Look, they have this whole other arm that's another big piece that they have strong competitive advantage in over other smaller companies. And then the third arm is their Optum RX, which is their pharmaceutical arm, right? Or what they call, I think they call it the PBM. Their pharmaceutical benefits management. So they got a whole 3-arm monster going on that offers them a strong competitive advantage in its entire healthcare system. So even during the mess, the cyber attacks, the increased medical costs, and some of the issues that they were getting the bad press, even through all of that, their revenue growth stayed consistent, steady growing. Looking bad in the press, steady growing behind the scenes, right? First of all, their sheer size gives them a competitive advantage as well to outlast some of the issues and problems they may see. And the amount of data and integration. Look, they have a stronghold on a lot of areas, being the biggest healthcare company in America. So these guys that we're looking at, we say Tepper, we said Michael Burry, and we said Warren Buffett. What they're doing, they're taking on some risk by buying this company right now. But look, it's calculated risk. They're not buying it blind. They're buying it with the understanding that there's risk involved. But based on the moat and what we see and the undervaluation of this particular company and what's happened recently, we're going to take that chance, is what a lot of the big boys are saying about this particular company. So for you out here who's thinking about, maybe I should buy this company as well, listen, this company has faced a lot of scrutiny lately, right? The feds are looking into a lot of issues with this company right now. Just be aware, do your own due diligence and your own research if you're thinking about investing in the company. Understand that there's a lot of regulatory issues going on. There's sort of a magnifying glass on this company right now. Not to mention the persistent pressure to bring down the cost of healthcare, that's happening as well, and the potential cyber attack fallout, right? Now, I think the cyber attack fallout was a one-time issue, but there's always room for more problems in terms of cybersecurity with a company this size and a company that manages this amount of sensitive data, right? So be aware of that if you're thinking about investing in this company. I don't know that these guys know more about what's coming down the pike in terms of maybe there's some big old issue that's coming down that we don't know about as regular. Look, I don't know that, right? I can't say, I don't want to play conspiracy theorist on this particular video and say these guys know more about, maybe there's some big pandemic or something coming. I don't know that, so I don't want to say it. But I can tell you what I know these guys do know, that are throwing all this big money into this company right now. They know that the stock is undervalued in terms of historically. They do know that the core of this business is still dominant, still has a strong moat, still controls the industry of healthcare in America, and will still probably be dominant well into the future in terms of profitability in this healthcare sector. They know that, and they know that all the problems that have sort of crushed this stock recently are fixable, are sort of temporary problems and don't mess up the moat the company has. And they also know that the stock market usually overreacts to any short-term pain or short-term problems or short-term small issues. The market always overreacts. And when the market overreacts and you got a huge company with a big old moat, a strong moat, solid on paper, and you see the stock market overreacting and the PE ratios go low, valuation is still very good, that's a time to buy. They know that. So when you talk about a PE ratio down to 12, like I said, anything under 14, 15 is great. A PE ratio down to 12, that's time to buy in a lot of instances. Now let me say this. You can't really use PE ratios as a sole measure to buy a stock, right? You look in the tech industry where PE ratios can be 50, 60, 80, 100, and it'd be no big deal, right? Still be a hot stock. So PE ratios can't always tell you what to buy and what not to buy. But when you talk about some of the more steady sectors that are not technology, like healthcare, transportation, industrials, in those sectors, PE ratio still holds a big weight. The lower it is with a big company, a big blue chip, the better it is, the more time it is to buy. So keep that in mind when you're actually doing your research on stocks to buy. And UnitedHealth Group is an example of a low PE ratio, good value stock, excellent moat, lots of bad press, but still a great company. And I think that's the reasons these guys are jumping in and buying right now. Because these guys, they don't chase hype, right? Warren Buffett is not a guy that chases hype, right? They chase value. And they've got the patience to wait for this particular company, UnitedHealth Group, to bounce back in a big way. As far as a regular investor, you need to be sort of understanding the playbook that these guys are playing right now. What are they doing right now? Okay, here's what they're doing. Maybe I can incorporate some of that into the way I look at stocks and the way I value stocks and the things on my checklist when I go buy individual stocks. Maybe that could be a part of my philosophy. You want to be thinking like the people that make money. You don't want to be thinking like the people that just hype up a hot stock. Ooh, let's go get this, let's go get that. Everybody's hyped up and everybody's buying high, not understanding what PE ratios mean, what valuation mean, what moats mean, right? You got to understand that whole thing to understand how the big boys play this game. Guys, look, I just wanted to alert you to this particular stock, UnitedHealth Group. Something you should think about considering. If nothing else, if you buy individual stocks, use this stock right now as a learning tool, as something you can research and study. And maybe you don't buy it this time around, right? But at least you can use it to learn from and help form and develop your own philosophy around stock picking or buying companies, right? If you got any value out of this video, do me a quick favor, smash that like button below. Also share the video with somebody who you know is buying stocks or wants to buy stocks and invest their money, right? This could be helpful for them. Hey, the best person who's going to take care of the old you is the young you. Guys, take good care of yourself and take care of other people. Until the next video, peace.